Hello everyone and welcome to this section or this episode. So in this episode or in the last episode please, I forgot to show something, okay? One of the features of this app or this web app. So it is the upload section or the upload feature where the what will enable you to upload videos to the database. So let me demonstrate it. I click on that link, it takes me to a form that will where I will fill before uploading anything. So in this form, we find out that we have two fields. Then the upload button is acting somehow, but that's exactly how I did it. As I hover on or over it, as I hover on the button with my mouse, you find out that there is this red stop sign. So that button is literally is disabled. So in order to enable it, I have to fill these two fields first. So let me demonstrate. So I choose this file. Then it is still disabled. So the next thing I have to do now is to type something. Okay, just type anything. Now it is enabled. Okay, so uh, I forgot to show you this part. I was supposed to start from the part of the video. As you can see, I dealt with the title, but I didn't deal with the video file itself. But before I deal with the video files, the video file, as I said in the last video, I will first of all show you or teach you how to prevent the user from clicking the upload button if the fields have not been filled. Okay, if he hasn't done what he's supposed to do, he will not be able to, or she will not be able to upload or click the upload button. And this is part of form validation. Okay, well, this is form validation using JavaScript. So without much ado, let's dive straight into the project. So now this is if you can remember, this is the index page of our own app that we are building. So I simply go here and type form.php. Okay, so as you can see, the button here is activated or enabled. So I am able to click it, but since I have put that required thing in the form, I will not be able to upload. But that, as I said earlier, that thing can easily be how do I put it? Anybody that knows what he's doing can simply go around it. So one of the steps to prevent that is using JavaScript. So that is what we are going to do, as I have said earlier. All right, enough talk already, please. To the project immediately. So now we are in the form.php file. So we go down here and type scripts. So in the script tag, we'll first of all get, to make sure that the document has completely loaded before we start doing anything. So in order to do that, to say documents dot, document dot add event listener. So what event are we looking for? We are looking for the DOM content loaded events. So once we get that, the next thing we do is now to run this function, this arrow function. Sorry. So in the arrow function, what are we going to do? We are first of all going to select these parts of the form that we need. So let me copy and paste it over. Okay, I want to save as much time as possible because I'll have a lot of things to say. So now we have gotten the parts that we need, the parts of the form that we need. The first one is the form itself. So say for document.get element by ID form control. All right. You can also use the other system, the one that says query selector. Okay. And use maybe the ID or the class name. It's entirely up to you. Then, but I'm using ID. Okay. Now the second one is, so once we get this, we store it in this constant called form. Okay, constant is simply a type of variable. So it's a variable that its content doesn't change. Then the second constant is upload button, which is this one. So we get it by its ID called upload button and store it inside this constant called upload button. Then the third one, this one I put it last because I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. So it says const inputs, two or more, plural, not singular. Why? Because we have two inputs. We have one, the first input, the second input. The other one, in the code, this is the first input and this is the second input, okay? So that is why we said form.query selector all. Get it? So we are selecting all of the form.query selector all. What are we selecting? Inputs with this required field, okay? So we are selecting everywhere we can find input inside this form. And now we have two places or two fields, two inputs. Okay, so that's why we are using inputs, not input. So please pay attention so it doesn't confuse you in any way. Okay, because it can be really confusing. The next thing we have to do is these inputs. We have to go through them. Okay, and add event listener to both of them. So how do we do that? We say you will use for each function. So we say inputs for each. Now, in this for each function, we will create another variable. This time around, we'll call it input. So go into inputs, then for each input. You understand? So go into the inputs, constant. Then for each input inside the inputs, that is why I say you should pay attention so it doesn't confuse you. For those of us who don't know this, because this for each thing, it was really difficult for me at first until I actually took my time to understand what was going on. And the guy is teaching me, we are not talking about this thing. So that's why each time I'm talking about for each, I stress on this aspect so much. So now the arrow function. So for each input inside the inputs, what are we going to do? We're going to add so the input, we are going to do add event listener. So what event are we listening for? We are listening for the inputs. We are listening for the inputs. What's it called? Events. So what is the input events? Or why are we listening for the inputs, not the key up or the key down or whatever, which other input? Here is what key down does. So once I press this key down, okay, if we put key down, so it can only listen for it. I mean, it can only catch this event while I'm typing like this. But when I try to select a file, okay, because this is another style of input, it's not going to catch this one because I'm not typing. So that's why I would say input. So there are different ways of inputting stuff inside to fill the fields. So one is by typing, one is by selecting a file. Now let me refresh. So that is why we are using the input events. We are listening for the input event. Now after that, the next thing we are going to do is to function we are going to run once the input once there is any input event or any input event occurs. So we call it check fields. Okay, check fields. There's no function in JavaScript that is called check fields. So we now have to define what this function does. But before we define that, we first of all, how do I put it? We first of all disable this button. Okay, we'll disable this button first. So we can disable that by going here and into the HTML and typing this, disabled. Okay, now let me demonstrate. I refresh, you see, it is grayed out and I can no longer click it. Of course I can click, but it's not going to do anything. Now let me take this thing off. Let me demonstrate it again. Now it is enabled. Okay, another way of disabling it is by simply taking this button here, this constant here. So I say dot disabled. I say true. Okay, upload button dot disabled true. Now let's see if it works also. You see the same thing. So you can do it however way you want to. It is entirely up to you. But I'm going to leave this one. Now let's define what these check fields we do. So I will say function check fields, then the arrow. No, not the arrow, please. What am I even doing? Not the arrow, because I already called it a name. I'm talking about arrow function. So not the arrow, please. So inside this function called check field, the first thing we have to do is to make a variable called all field. Okay, all field is true. All field is true. So this is a variable. Remember this one and this. So let me separate it properly. This one and this one are totally different. Okay, but we will use this one to control this one. All right. So the next thing we have to do now is to, or just as we did earlier, go through each of the inputs. But this time around, we are going to check for the values, Christian values, Islamic values. No, that's not what I'm talking about. If so, say if I will come to it. If input, sorry, not if input, please. What am I? I'm trying to run faster than my shadow. So we say inputs dot for each, then inputs. Okay, then input, as I have already explained how this one works. So if input dot value, so what is the value? The value is simply whatever is inside. For example, this one now, the value is, for example, value is that. Okay, this is the value. So what about this one? What is the value? The value is, this is the value. Okay, so we'll now check for the value of each of the input fields. So if the value of any of them, because we are looking for just one, any of them at all, it doesn't have to be the two, just one only, is exactly empty or blank, which means the user hasn't done anything in that particular field. Okay, so if nothing has been done, so if input.value is blank, then this all field will be, sorry, this all field what's it called, variable will become false. Okay, pay attention please. So if it goes through if it goes through the fields and find out that there is one, just one, all it needs is just one, that is empty, okay, then this all field will be turned to false. Okay, once this all field is turned to false, the next thing we have to do now is to go outside the if statements or the if function and say, this upload button, copy it, upload button dot disabled will be assigned to this what's it called, this all field. Remember, upload button dot disabled is true. This is a boolean. Okay, and this one also is another boolean that is assigned to all field. So if there is any of the field that is empty or blank, then this all field will turn to false, because we have two. So we have a true, it's either it is true or it is false, because this one now, this false, this boolean is inside this all field. So upload or disabled will be the boolean will be whatever is inside here. Okay, now let me save it and let's demonstrate. I refresh. So let me choose a file. You see, now the upload button has been enabled, but that is not what we want. Okay, we want you to fill both. So that is why we checked if there is even one that is not filled, then this thing should still be disabled. This button should still be disabled. So let me come over here and type something. You see, when I type something here, it gets disabled. Of course, confusing, right? No, it doesn't have to confuse you, all right? It doesn't have to confuse you at all. So what is going on here is simply because as this one is false, so you bring it down here as false. So upload.disabled becomes false, which is that the button should be enabled. While if both fields are filled, if this all field here will not run. So simply the true here will still come down here as true. So that is why it's messing up. So in order to correct that, it is very easy. So we simply put the exclamation mark. The exclamation mark means not. Okay, it means not. So when you see what we are doing is flipping and reversing whatever is inside here. So if it is true, it becomes false. If it is false, it becomes true. Now let me console log it. Let me show what I mean. It is called truth tables. All right. So console.log true. Okay. Or no, let me say alert, please. Okay. Alert true. So let me save. Wait, please. Okay, I know what the problem is. Cut. Bring it out here and just run it here. Okay. Now let me do it again. All right. So it says true. Alert true. So let me try false. So it says false. All right. Now if I first of all put an exclamation mark here, which is not false. So if it is not false, what will it be? Let's check. True. You see? So let me try not true. So if something is not true, what is it? It is false. It is a lie. Okay. Let me demonstrate it. False. All right. So not true is the same thing as false. Let me remove this now. Now, as I have flipped it, so whatever it is here will be what we'll get here is the opposite. So I save. So I refresh. So let me choose a file. It is still disabled. Now let me input anything here. You see, now it is enabled. Okay. All right. We are done with today's video. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for following. So in the next video, we will now start or continue from the, validating the video part. So thank you so much. See you next time. Please, I beg of you, like and subscribe. Please comment. Tell me whatever you want to tell me. I would really, really love to hear from you. Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye.